balanced and sustainable development. With a vision of expanding and diversifying exports and markets, deepening participation in global value chains, India continues to focus on building partnerships that promote mutual growth and long-term resilience. Guided by the vision of Viksit Bharat 2047, India's digital strategy continues to emphasize innovation, skill development, and entrepreneurship. These elements are essential to fostering inclusive progress and ensuring that the benefits of growth reach every segment of society. India's financial ecosystem also stands out as a model of innovation and inclusion. This evolution demonstrates how digital infrastructure can enhance efficiency, transparency, and participation, key ingredients for a thriving economy. While the opportunities are immense, the global trade and investment landscape also presents challenges that call for collective solutions. Recent tariff measures and trade frictions among major economies have underscored the importance of maintaining transparent, open, and rules-based trade to ensure stability and resilience in global value chains. It is imperative that economies continue to focus on fostering trust, strengthening standards cooperation, and promoting greater collaboration in innovation and technology. Mutual recognition of standards, smoother logistics connectivity, and responsible business practices will be the key enablers of the next phase of business growth. Today's session provides a valuable platform to deliberate on actionable strategies to enhance cross-border collaboration and investment linkages. We are privileged to have with us here an eminent and diverse panel representing different regions and perspectives. Their insights and experiences will be instrumental in helping us understand how trade-led growth and investment partnerships can be fostered in a rapidly changing global environment. With that, I would like to invite our esteemed panelists to share their insights and perspectives. Thank you once again for being here, and I'm looking forward to an engaging and productive session. Thank you very much. I now invite His Excellency Mr. Min Min, the Deputy Minister, Ministry of Commerce, Myanmar, to give his remarks.
Good afternoon, esteemed moderators, distinguished panelists, and honored guests. It is a profound privilege for the delegation of Myanmar to participate in this 30th Partnership Summit. I extend our sincerest appreciations to the government and the people of India and their gracious hospitalities and excellent arrangement for this important gathering. The title of this section, Gateway to Growth, resonates deeply with Myanmar. It reflects our national vision to serve as a dynamic land bridge connecting to the great economic engine of South Asia and Southeast Asia. By both geography and spirit, Myanmar stands as the crossroad of continental connectivity. Yet, being a gateway is not defined by location alone. It must be realized through visionary, sustainable, and mutually beneficial prosperous partnership. Myanmar and India share an enduring economic partnership rooted in story, culture, and trust. Our bilateral trade value over $1.6 billion in 2024 and 2025 year continues to expand, with India remains one of our top trading partners and currently ranks as the fourth largest. export front, Myanmar's agriculture sector has shown remarkable resilience. We are enhancing export of beans and pulses under the Memorandum of Understanding between the two governments, valid until 2026. Myanmar also export garment, woods products, fishery items, veneers, metals, rubbers, and turmeric to India. Meanwhile, import from India pharmaceuticals, chemicals, food products, cotton, machineries, and vehicles reflect strong industrial cooperations. Pharmaceutical, in the particular, account for the 60% of Myanmar's market, underscoring India's role as a trusted, affordable source of quality medicines. We organize that foreign direct investment in the engine of sustainable growth. Although inflows are fluctuated, India remains value partner, ranking 11th with cumulative approved investment nearing $800 million as of September 2025. To strengthening investors' confidence, Myanmar's Investments Commission introduced the investment activities priority list in 2021, opening strategic sectors such as power generations, oil and gas, and manufacturing to foreign participation. We warmly invite Indian companies to seize these opportunities and join us in the advancing industrial transformations and sustainable energy development. Myanmar's goal is not simply growth, it's a sustainable prosperity. Trade and investments are the twin engines driving this vision as our economy transitions from a resource-based model to one that diversifies and knowledge-driven. We seek partnerships that are transformative, not merely transactional investments that create meaningful jobs, foster technologies, transfers, and strengthening value chain integration. Our vision of growth is inclusive, equitable, enduring, anchored in a shared prosperity for all. Our first strategy is to move up the global value chain with our partners, from agriculture to agri-business, with fertile land and proud agriculture heritage. Myanmar is the leading supplier of pulses and beans to India's and global markets. We now aim to evolve into modern agri-business, investing in processing, packaging, and logistics that add a value and benefit for both sides. From assembling advanced manufacturing, our garment and light manufacturing sectors have driven growth. The next step is to advance into higher value industries, machineries, electronics, and renewable energy components, areas ideal for the Myanmar-India collaborations. Our second strategy is foster sustainable, stable, and predictable investment climate. Our special economic zones serve as integrated hubs for the trade, innovations, and logistics. They offer strategic locations, robust infrastructures, and investors-friendly frameworks to cross-border collaboration. Connectivities remain at the heart of the shared prosperity. Projects such as India-Myanmar-Thailand Trilateral Highway and the Caledon Multimodal Transit Project are not merely physical corridors. They are pathway to opportunity that reshape the regional economic landscape and reaffirm Myanmar's role as a true gateway from the South and Southeast Asia. In conclusion, Myanmar stands open not only for the business but for the partnership in the trusted sense. Our message is one shared opportunity and mutual progress. Together, we can transform this gateway to growth into the gateway to shared prosperity, a bridge connecting our people, our markets, and our futures. We warmly invite India's all our regional partners to work with us through this gateway. Shoulder to shoulder, as we build the future as sustainable, inclusive, and mutual rewarding. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We now request Mr. Watanabe to deliver his remarks.
Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very delighted to be here in the very vibrant city of Vishakapatnam in Andhra Pradesh. Very good afternoon. We are witnessing a period of profound transformation. Trade flows are slowing, supply chains are fragmenting, and investment decisions are increasingly shaped by geopolitics and technology competition. For developing Asia, India and Southeast Asia in particular, this transformation poses challenges, but also opens new opportunities to expand domestic market, diversify market, strengthen regional production networks, and build trusted partnership based on the complementarity. In this evolving landscape, India's economic transformation stands out. Guided by Prime Minister Modi's vision for trade and investment, India has pursued a balanced strategy of self-reliance and global integration, embodied in Make in India and self-reliance. These initiatives, combined with India's digital public infrastructure, such as UPI, ONDC, demonstrate how industrial policy and digital innovation can reinforce one another, fostering resilience, inclusion, and competitiveness. From a broader perspective, cooperation between India and Southeast Asia. Today, we have excellencies from Southeast Asia countries, and the wider global South will be essential in shaping more equitable and sustainable value chains. By aligning strategies, connecting digital systems, and investing in people, the global South can transform into becoming co-creators and of innovation and industrial capacity. In this context, India's transformation aligns closely with the growing dynamism of ASEAN, as both regions strive to strengthen regional integration and sustainable growth. At the recent India-ASEAN summit, Prime Minister Modi underlined the shared responsibility as partners representing nearly quarters of the world population to deepen cooperation under the ASEAN-India Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. Looking ahead, India and ASEAN partnership can serve as a stabilizing anchor, advancing open, balanced and rules-based economic cooperation while deepening connectivity through trade facilitation, logistics, digital infrastructure, building on ASEAN and India long-standing role at the heart of global value chains. To strengthen this foundation, India and ASEAN must move forward from policy alignment to deeper cooperation, connecting industries, technologies, and people. Cooperation should go beyond trade, encompassing joint manufacturing, technology co-creation, and human capital partnerships. ASEAN's strong production base and India's technological capacity can jointly drive progress in emerging sectors such as semiconductors, clean energy, advanced manufacturing, and critical minerals, while ensuring the resilience of global value chains. Equally, India and ASEAN can align their efforts in digital and energy transformation. India's UPI is a clear example of how digital infrastructure can connect economies and empower inclusion for small businesses and people. The upcoming ASEAN Digital Economy Framework Agreement, DIFA, also offers a timely opportunity to link ASEAN and India digital ecosystem promoting interoperability, innovation, and sustainable digital trade. In energy area, my institute and the CII recently collaborate on the feasibility study for the ASEAN-India power grid. This is a concrete step toward realizing a shared vision of green interconnected growth. Ultimately, the true gateway to growth lies not in geography but in partnership and trust. Both India's transformation and ASEAN's integration show that sustainable growth can be achieved through openness, reform, and collaboration. AREA remains committed to supporting these regional efforts by providing evidence-based research, policy dialogue, and multi-stakeholder platform for cooperation. We believe that the deepening relationship between ASEAN and India will not only strengthen Asia's economic architecture, but also contribute more resilient, inclusive, and sustainable global economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I request Mr. Neeraj Gupta to deliver his remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Namaskaram. Delighted to be here in Vishakapatnam, city of tremendous opportunity, to discuss how trade and investment can serve truly as a gateway to growth for both India and Andhra Pradesh. I would also like to extend my heartiest gratitude to the organizers, the DPIIT, the Government of Andhra Pradesh, and of course CII. And very warm namaskaram to all the delegates, government officials, and industry leaders as well. I think India is at an inflection point, as one of the speakers mentioned before me, with transformative reforms, strategic free trade agreements, and digital innovation that is shaping the economy. And I think the global rapidly changing geopolitical environment, which was also referred to earlier, is also impacting our policies and shaping the policies of Government of India. Andhra Pradesh state also has set an ambitious path through its Industrial Development Policy 24-29 and the Swarn Andhra Pradesh Act 2047. It's a very ambitious vision, leveraging the almost 1,000 kilometer of coastline, infrastructure, and medium and small enterprises to boost major industrial and exports by the year 2047. A bit about the development gaps. I think we all know there's a significant gaps, but a few numbers quickly on the magnitude of the challenge facing India as a country and Andhra Pradesh as a fast, rapidly growing economy, state economy. So developing countries collectively, globally, they face a US $4 trillion funding gap annually on an annual basis just to comply with the Sustainable Development Goals. We know that public budget alone cannot close this gap, and therefore we need to crowd in private sector investments. And that's where the role of a lot of the industry leaders present here and CII as a platform for those industries has to play a big role. I've personally worked on cities, and we've recently worked with one of the cities in Andhra Pradesh. So Indian cities need a total of $2.4 trillion by 2050 just to come up to the level of sustainable service delivery to achieve their public service obligations and to develop resilient low carbon infrastructure. It far exceeds their current investments that they make on an annual basis. So that just reflects the significant challenge that's facing not just the governments at provincial levels or India at a country level, but also our cities, which are supposed to be engines of growth. And the ironical part is that private investment in these cities, which are economic hubs, it accounts for only 5%, both through PPPs as well as through private lending, commercial lending to cities. So we do need to pay more attention to these these stakeholders and ensure that the contribution by them both economically and efficiency-wise, is scaled up multiple times. A bit about India's strategy reforms. I think speakers before me have referred to ONDC, UPI. I won't repeat that. But there are other parts of the ecosystem that I think the government is quite working in an integrated manner. The policies such as Make in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, the Viksit Bharat vision, the PM Gati Shakti and Swarnmala. I think all these building blocks in an integrated manner, they aim to improve infrastructure and logistics. They aim to cut costs. In the morning in another event, I was hearing that there was a recent study by NCAER which has estimated that logistics costs in India amount to a whopping almost 8% of GDP. The interesting part is this has come down quite significantly over the last few years, but it's still much, much higher than economies like China or Singapore or other East Asian economies. Forget about Western Europe. So we have a task ahead essentially. So with these forward-looking policies, India is well placed to be a trusted anchor for resilient growth and sustainable global value chains. Now, in terms of actionable strategies and the role that we can play, so we are part of the World Bank Group, but as one World Bank Group, the World Bank supports policy and institutional reforms. While IFC, we bring in private capital. We don't just bring in private capital, and we bring in private capital both to be deployed by the private sector, but also private capital directly to state-owned enterprises. And that's the role we recently played with the city of Vishakapatnam, where we've funded about $60 million for them to develop critical wastewater infrastructure, including wastewater recycling and reuse, without any government guarantee, without any state government or government of India guarantee. So it just demonstrates that even our cities, or at least the capable cities, can develop bankable projects or bankable structures which allow them to leverage private capital from development finance institutions such as ourselves. So together, World Bank and IFC can turn India's vision and Andhra Pradesh trade and investment ambitions into bankable and sustainable inclusive projects. And I think, again, the emphasis on the word bankable, because no private sector will want to put its money if it's not assured of a fair return, right? Subject to, obviously, certain degree of risk that each investor will take. And these projects could be bankable on their own, but I think equal importance needs to be given to making our entities bankable. Private sector wants to engage with entities, government counterpart entities, which are bankable, with a focus obviously on quality, resilient jobs, and livelihoods. Just to show that the importance we place on India as an economy, India is actually our largest portfolio globally. We have an exposure of $10.3 billion US dollars, which represents over 11% of our global portfolio. So just to put it in the perspective, India as a shareholder in the World Bank Group has a voting right of about 4-5%, but it represents more than 10% of our global portfolio. In Andhra Pradesh, a lot of you will know, we've recently, the World Bank Group, along with our partners, Asian Development Bank, have supported the development of the new capital, Amaravati, in a very, very big way. And it also aligns directly with the Swarn Andhra Pradesh vision. I mentioned about the Vizag project. And we work across verticals, so not just direct investments into infrastructure like Amaravati or the Vizag wastewater recycling project. We work through financial intermediaries. So we've been working through financial institutions and microfinance institutions who have a very large footprint in Andhra Pradesh, especially catering to low-income households, women entrepreneurs, and MSMEs. We also work on manufacturing. So industries which are setting up base in Andhra Pradesh, in India, including foreign investors, we try and do what we call South-South partnerships. We bring in companies, international companies who are interested in setting up base in India, and we not just bring them in with, curating these partnerships, but we also are able to provide funding to them. I think finally, I heard that in the run-up to this event, MOUs worth $100 billion have already been signed. So just to say that these kind of events and platforms do help quite a lot in directly building local economy. And IFC, as part of the One World Bank group, we stand ready to partner with the Andhra Pradesh government and India's private sector and other key development partners to turn this movement into tangible outcomes. As I said, our modus operandi in emerging markets, the way we operate is through curating bankable projects. So if a private sector spots an opportunity, let's say it's a large renewable park in Andhra Pradesh, and they want to curate that project, we are able to come in and broker that partnership between the private sector and the government of Andhra Pradesh, and then ultimately deploy large-scale funding also. And our funding also, increasingly, we come in with the consortium. So it's consortium lending. We can put in equity. We can put in debt. But increasingly, we work largely through development partners. And together, our vision is to make trade and investment the true gateway for shared and sustainable growth for Andhra Pradesh, India, and the region. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I now request Natasha to deliver her remarks, please.
Well, distinguished panel, esteemed guests, colleagues, and friends, it is a pleasure for me to be here standing in front of you at the 30th CII Sustainable Partnership Summit 2025. This has been a forum that has consistently positively affected the trajectory of India's economic engagement. And our theme today, which talks about a gateway to growth, a trade and investment imperative, is very relevant and very timely. It could not be more opportune to speak about this because EU and India are today approaching the final stages or conclusions of a landmark free trade agreement. And let me say something or highlight something that the audience here already understands. And that is the fact that this free trade agreement is going to bring immense opportunity for both sides. There is absolutely no doubt that there is immense opportunity that will arise both in trade flows as well as investment flows. European companies are actively seeking to diversify their supply chain. They're looking to reduce their reliance on single region sourcing. And at the same time, they're looking to strengthen resilience against future disruptions. In this context, India stands very strong, and it does have an edge. It also indicates and stands for itself as a country with innovation, with opportunity, and this is not just for the scale in the market size as well as the workforce that India brings, but it is also for the reliability and capability of Indian producers. So in this regard, let us look at 6 factors that are going to be essential when we develop strategy or when we look at how to really capitalize upon the growth gateway. The first one being trade as a catalyst. The progressive removal of the EU tariffs, particularly in the sectors of agriculture, apparel and textile, which have traditionally been sectors with higher tariffs, above average tariffs, is going to bring in tremendous opportunity for impact on trade volumes. In this regard, it will encourage EU companies to look at India as a dynamic, competitive and high quality sourcing destination. We do have the opportunity to stand out as the sourcing destination. Indian producers, particularly those that rely upon domestic sourcing for raw materials like cotton, will qualify and will meet the rules of origin requirements. This will give them and competitive advantage over preferential countries such as, or various economies such as Vietnam or Bangladesh. Bangladesh currently enjoys a GSP status, and this is expected to evolve. At the same time, we should also recognize that the agreement will expand India's access into the European goods and the European products. The high tariffs, which have historically prevented import of European goods in certain sectors, the reduction of these tariffs will now allow for more goods and opportunities to be available to Indian consumers and Indian businesses. This means we're going to have enhanced choices, we're going to have more quality options and more innovation. This drives us towards even more competitive an environment to stand out for ourselves. I want to next move upon the aspects of investment. I want to speak about investment here. This is a two-way street. Okay, the trade flows are not the only dimensions of this partnership, but investment flows will also be significantly impacted. We already see and know, and some of our panelists have also highlighted, that under the Make in India vision, we have seen European investors seeking in opportunities for manufacturing and innovation in India. The FTA can accelerate this by addressing the long-standing barriers that have made investment or operational setup cumbersome. When these factors are eased, then everyone wins. Whether it's the European investors or it is the Indian partners, but it's also the Indian local workforce and Indian people that stand to benefit in this regard. Thirdly, I'm going to touch about sustainability. This is the new imperative. There's no turning away over here. It is the journey ahead. It is the future. But let's look and understand why. Okay, EU companies, to put into perspective, EU companies today are operating under unprecedented scrutiny. They are driven by legislations such as CBAM, the deforestation regulations, and also the forthcoming forced labor rules. They also have expectations that they have to meet from consumers, investors, and civil society. So this means when the European firms are sourcing from or investing in India, they need reassurance that their supply chains uphold strong environmental and social standards. Many companies, including members of M4E, in this regard use strong and internal systems which are capable of identifying risks on labor conditions, occupational safety, discrimination, or environmental practices, all the way down to their supply chain. Now, with the best positioning of India with regards to sustainability, we will be able to seize the opportunities, in maximizing the benefits of this FTA. This effort is not going to be easy, but it is necessary. And importantly, it will not only benefit business, but it is also going to benefit workers as well as communities. A very quick touch upon the shared role with the government. Okay, here it is also important that to understand that India has already made tremendous progress with regards to labor reforms, compliance structures, as well as digitization. But continued engagement, such as consideration of or considering the ratification of the remaining core ILO conventions, such as freedom of association and collective bargaining, will further strengthen India's case as trusted long-term economic partner. These are complex tasks in a vast and diverse country, no doubt. But they are also foundational to ensuring that the FTA is supported by all the necessary stakeholders in Europe. As endorsement from the 27 EU member states and the European Parliament will be essential and the next step. At a time of heightened political sensitivity, India's ability to demonstrate strong commitments on sustainability will help to secure broad and timely approval. We must also understand we do work in a competitive global landscape. Over here, it is worth noting that India is not the only country deepening ties with Europe. The EU has just concluded a comprehensive and enforceable trade and sustainability chapter with Indonesia and is in discussions with Thailand, which have produced similar outcome. These countries are also positioning themselves as responsible and attractive sourcing destinations for European business. India, with its scale and capabilities, should not just match, but also exceed these commitments. And lastly, let's look at the gateway to shared prosperity. As India continues to showcase its readiness, its openness and sustainability and investment facilitation, I do firmly believe that this FTA could become one of the most successful in EU's portfolio. It has the potential to unlock unprecedented trade, drive innovation, and enable sustainable industrial growth, thereby also empowering millions of workers. So the world is watching, and it is watching India rise with admiration. This FTA is more than a commercial document. It is a strategic bridge between economies that share values of democracy, innovation, and long-term partnership. Together, we can shape a future where trade and investment become engines of sustainable, inclusive, and resilient growth. Ladies and gentlemen, the gateway to growth is open. Let us step through it together. Thank you.
Thank you, Natasha. I now request Her Excellency Ms. Armida to deliver her keynote address.
Excellencies, business leaders, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you, and it is indeed my pleasure to join you again in this CII Partnership Summit, and especially in this particular session on Gateway to Growth, the Trade and Investment Imperative. By way of background, let me start by highlighting the two interconnected challenges faced by many countries in our region in sustaining long-term economic growth and development. The first one is the convergence of per capita income levels between developing countries and the world's frontier countries has decelerated, driven by slower labor productivity growth and the diminishing impacts of capital accumulation on productivity gains. Second, many countries in the region remain trapped in production activities with lower value addition, and it is becoming more difficult to upgrade into high value addition segments of global supply chains amid rising trade protectionism and fierce international competition on technologies. The answer to overcome these challenges lies in strategic trade and investment partnership, in forward-looking alliances that transcend borders, that ignite sustainable economic growth as well as development, and in forming network of free trade agreements that prioritize areas such as green technologies, digital infrastructure, and resilient supply chain. By forging deeper ties with like-minded partners through strategic free trade agreements, countries can diversify trade routes, mitigate risk from restriction, and channel investment into high-impact sectors. In the present global context and situation, it is of my view that for India, the gateway to growth can further be opened through continued policy reforms in areas such as ease of doing business, labor laws, and streamlining custom procedures and reducing logistical bottlenecks. Second, by fostering a vibrant innovation ecosystem, which is crucial for developing high-value products and services, through increased investment in research and development, encouraging the creation of intellectual property, promoting collaboration between academia and industry and supporting startups. And third, by investing in skills development and vocational training programs aligned with industry demand will ensure a skilled workforce capable of supporting advanced manufacturing and digital services. Fourth, by adopting policies that promote green manufacturing, renewable energy and sustainable supply chain will align India with global environmental goals and open up new opportunities in the green economy. Fifth, by leveraging India's robust digital public infrastructure, such as the Aadhaar, UPI, and the Open Network for Digital Commerce, can further enhance trade efficiency and financial inclusion. And finally, by tapping into India's large domestic market, the country's 1.4 billion population with increasing purchasing power is one of the largest markets in the world. The government has taken initiatives such as Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat. It is high time that in addition to facilitating FDI inflows, domestic investment are also facilitated to upscale the manufacturing and services sectors. The industry also starts to tap into the large domestic market, which will keep India's momentum of growth on the right path. With the above thoughts, I conclude, and thank you very much for your kind attention. I wish you all a very successful summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for a very holistic address. I now request His Excellency, Mr. Sovichit, deliver his keynote address.
Good afternoon. I think all the speakers have exhausted all the idea that people need to absorb in order to get as a lesson learned or the fruitful discussion of this panel. For us, I think based on the theme of trade and investment imperative, we have to look a little bit closer how to cooperate and how to share together. This morning, distinguished panelists and ministers have paved the way for us on the particular factor to grow together through cooperation, through readiness, through platform of digital technology, and through investment. In this panel, we discussed how trade and investment would be. So first, my respect to Mr. Narayan Setumramon, the co-chair, Confederation of Indian Industry, International Council, and CII, Trade Policy Council, and Managing Director. Excellency, Deputy Minister, esteemed speaker before me, Excellency, distinguished lady delegate, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure and privilege for me to be here to represent my Minister of Commerce, Excellency Chon Vimul of the Kingdom of Cambodia in this 30 Partnership Summit 2025. And my pleasure to deliver the keynote address in this important session on trade growth, gateway to grow the trade and investment imperative. On behalf of the government of Cambodia, I wish to express my deep appreciation to the government of Republic of India, especially His Excellency Piyush Goyal, Minister of Commerce and Industry, in collaboration with the government of Andhra Pradesh and Confederation of Indian Industry for the invitation for us to come to this event and to give an opportunity for us to deliver the speech. As you may note that over the past decade, ASEAN and dialogue partners have made remarkable progress in transforming regional economy through trade openness, investment, facilitation, and regional integration. The evidence of partnership have been highlighted in a good result through South-South cooperation, Greater Mekong sub-region cooperation, which is fostering sustainable growth and shared prosperity among developing countries. However, the global economy is at a crossroad, facing shifting supply chain, technology transformation disruption, and urgent need for green and inclusive recovery. In this context, trade and investment cooperation stand as the most powerful engine to propel our region toward sustainability and shared growth. Cambodia firmly believes that strengthening trade and investment cooperation remains the most powerful driver for achieving equitable growth and create resilience in our region. In recent years, it became even more clear that prosperity of nations is closely connected in shared interests or mutual benefit in partnership among the nations. In this context, I wish to stress that India is the big market. India can be a hub that would promote cooperation of trade and investment between the nations in Asia. Maybe we don't say only South Asia, but also Southeast Asia. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, Cambodian emphasize on the factor of significant potential for successful promoting trade and investment in the region through the following collaboration. First, trade must serve as a gateway to share prosperity among the nations, since the global economy has been rapidly changing. It should serve the purpose of facilitating the flow of goods, service, investment, labor, and technology transfer. By fostering trade through regional and global integration, we will be able to create inclusive and sustainable economic opportunity to overcome global uncertainty. As an ASEAN member state, Cambodia, in collaboration with other members, has solidified ASEAN position as the global economy force, underpinned by robust growth, dynamic workforce, and progressive integration effort. For Cambodia, we have worked tirelessly to promote economic integration, reduce trade barriers, and strengthen connectivity in the region and the world through our integration into regional grouping and World Trade Organization. We believe that regional and global partnerships have boosted trade, attract investment, and stimulate economic growth. Cambodians continue to pursue an open, rule-based multilateral system, just mentioned by Director General of the WTO this morning. The necessity of rule-based multilateral system still be a strong mechanism to support trade. Our commitment to regional economic integration is reflected in our participation in regional comprehensive economic partnership. That's in this particular point, I strongly suggest that the more partners we will have, I think we can expand our trade much more better and larger. And our active role in ASEAN Economic Community framework, particularly ASEAN-Indian partnership as a vital pillar of our collective economic resilience. For this particular case, India's growing global role in technological capability and being a large market have complement in ASEAN integration agenda. The progress have been made through mechanisms such as ASEAN-Indian Trade in Goods Agreement, ASEAN-Indian Business Council, and Plan of Action, which both sides are creating new pathways for trade, investment, and digital connectivity. For this year, 2025, ASEAN-India focuses on cooperation in areas such as digital transformation, supply chain resilience, and other cooperation. Cambodians support the ongoing review of the ASEAN Trade in Goods Agreement to make it more modern, inclusive, and responsive to emerging global reality. We encourage collaboration in MSME development, innovation ecosystem, and sustainable investment, particularly in sectors such as renewable energy, digital transformation, and infrastructure. We believe that partnership of deeper regional connection will unlock new market opportunity and strengthen the value chain that create prosperous linkage of our economy. Second, investment is the engine of transformation. The Royal Government of Cambodia adopt and implement the new law on investment and aim to boost foreign trade investment. We invite India partner looking at this opportunity to move to Cambodia with a market that could share the growth together. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, with these remarks, I feel that it is time that we all together can come to the new impetus and using this platform to move together. But last but not least, allow me to once again express my appreciation to the government of India, especially Minister of Commerce and Industry, and the government of Andhra Pradesh for inviting us to participate in this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. As we are running a little behind schedule, we will not be able to take questions. I will now hand it back to.
Thank you, session moderator, for initiating those dialogues, and thank you to all our presenters. May we please request you to kindly present the mementos in your capacity as session chair for this particular session. Let's have a big round of applause for all our speakers, ladies and gentlemen. And I request you all to kindly remain with us. We will be immediately moving on to our next session, which is a fireside chat between the Director General of CII and the Director General of the World Trade Organization. It will be an interesting conversation. So we request you to please remain with us. Let's have a big round of applause. I know it's the later part of the day, but let's show some enthusiasm. Let's have a huge round of applause for all the speakers, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, I'll request session moderator to come forward with our speakers for a group photograph, and then we'll break for the next session. We request you to kindly remain with us. We'll just take a couple of minutes to make the necessary table arrangements, and we request you to please remain with us while we have the next session. May we request our delegates in the front to kindly take the respective seats. We are about to start the fireside chat. May I please request our delegates in the front to kindly take the respective seats and request people at the back to please come forward.
Ralston is driving that momentum, taking India to the world. From revolutionizing bicycle tires in the 1950s to leading automotive innovation, we now enter a new era, commercial tires. We use high-quality raw materials, SCADA system, and precision machinery sourced from the best manufacturers from across the globe. Our automated tire building utilizes nitrogen curing for superior uniformity and performance. Our proprietary cool compound technology enhances fuel efficiency. Every tire undergoes rigorous testing: visual, X-ray, uniformity, and dynamic balancing. We ensure radial runout, endurance, and casing strength meet our exacting standards. Each tire is barcoded for full traceability. Made in India, made for the world.
If rising temperatures are the result of our choices, can better choices rewrite the future? That is the question we ask ourselves every single day at EcoRem. The more greenhouse gases we emit into the atmosphere, the more the planet warms. Unless we reduce these emissions and return closer to pre-industrial levels, rising temperatures will continue to have a profound impact on our planet. Today, electricity and heat production are responsible for roughly 30% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Industries add another 24%. Agriculture, forestry, and land use account for 22%, and transportation contributes nearly 15%. We have addressed some of it so far at EcoRen by building large-scale wind, solar, and hybrid projects across India. But now we're ready to go further to take on this challenge at a much larger scale. That's why we are launching First Element and reimagining the next frontier of clean power, the green molecule. A green molecule is an environmentally friendly and sustainable chemical component produced from biodegradable materials, renewable sources, or even low-carbon feedstocks. Through First Element, we are building new infrastructure, accelerating research, and investing in what we believe is the future, a world powered by green molecules. By replacing conventional fuels across key sectors with green hydrogen, green ammonia, green methanol, and sustainable aviation fuel. By accelerating EV adoption, we are driving the energy transition towards a truly sustainable ecosystem. The result? A cleaner, greener, and a cooler planet for the future generations. So yes, if rising temperatures are a result of our choices, we believe that making better choices today can rewrite the future.
Welcome to TVS Motor, the flagship of India-based TVS Group. TVS Motor is a globally recognized brand operating in over 80 countries across Central and South America, Africa, and Asia. We believe each market is unique, and we innovate relentlessly to create vehicles tailored to diverse terrains and consumer needs. From the challenging Dhaka Valley to the highest motorable roads, TVS delivers performance, reliability, and excellence. Our expansive product portfolio includes performance bikes, connected scooters, electric vehicles, commuter bikes, utility vehicles, and three-wheelers, offering mobility solutions for every need. Since manufacturing our first two-wheeler in 1978, TVS Motor has been at the forefront of innovation, combining cutting-edge technology with deep consumer insights. Our milestones include India's first Bluetooth-enabled scooter, dual-platform FI technology, and the iQube, our advanced electric scooter equipped with telematics. Every vehicle embodies the TVS commitment to quality and performance, honed through rigorous testing and development, including on the racetrack with India's first company-owned race team. Our state-of-the-art factories symbolize the DNA of TVS Motor, combining design expertise, advanced production management, and global supplier partnerships. These
Namaskar and a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to the 30th edition of the CII Partnership Summit. May I please request everyone in the audience to kindly settle down. Please take your respective seats, and also a very gentle reminder to all of you to kindly switch off your mobile phones or put it on the silent mode during the entire proceedings of the inaugural function. As you're aware, we have some very esteemed dignitaries joining us for the inaugural session. The Honorable Vice President of India will be joining us for the inaugural session. I request everyone to kindly take their respective seats, settle down as quickly as possible, please maintain silence. And once again, a gentle reminder to kindly switch off your mobile phones or put it on the silent mode during the entire proceedings of the inaugural function. Thank you. Delegates in the front to kindly take your respective seats. We've been informed by the security of the Honorable Vice President to kindly keep the front area clear. As you're aware that our highly esteemed dignitaries are going to be joining us shortly, and we would like to request everybody to please take their seats, especially our dignitaries and delegates in the front. Please take your respective seats. We've been informed by the Honorable Vice President's security to keep the hall clear. Please take your respective seats and settle down as quickly as possible. Thank you. and we request you to all remain with us. We will be beginning this in just a few minutes from now. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in extending a very warm welcome to Her Excellency Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Director General of the World Trade Organization, along with Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee, Director General of CII. Welcome to the fireside chat on strengthening multilateralism, trust, partnership, and inclusive development. I will request Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee to kindly initiate this conversation. Over to you.
Excellency, Director General, World Trade Organization, warm welcome back again to this plenary of the Partnership Summit, and welcome also back to CII, with whom you have interacted in the past. You gave a very strong motivational speech a few hours back from this podium, and that really touched a lot of minds and evoked a lot of thinking. But I wanted to start off probably, the moderator said fireside chat. I don't know if there's no fire on the other side, but you can light the fire by saying that, Madam, how concerned or how optimistic or pessimistic are you to see in a world which is quite chaotic, if I may say, in terms of the trading order, and rules are not sometimes the rule of the day. So what makes you, how do you make things out of it? And are you optimistic that this too shall pass, or are you feeling quite disappointed?
Well, dear Chandrajit, thank you so much for having me again. As you said, this is not my first interaction, and I came back because I think the CII does such a good job of bringing a large number of investors and business people, big and small, together. So thank you for doing it. Yeah, you said the world is undergoing disruption of rules and so on, and how am I feeling? First, I have to be very candid and admit that the disruption in the global trading system that we see now is unprecedented, the worst we've seen in 80 years. The questioning of multilateralism is also unprecedented, and the undermining of multilateralism. And I say this because multilateralism was built 80 years ago after a very difficult period with a Great Depression, two world wars, and the world recognized that you need interdependence, and trade is part of that interdependence if you want to build peace, and if you want to alleviate poverty and build wealth. And it has largely delivered. So I think that's why a lot of people are very concerned and very puzzled that the very system that was built up is now being questioned. But I have to say, maybe it's being questioned because it hasn't really delivered in an even way for everyone. We have to admit that too. There are poor regions in rich countries that may not have benefited, and there are poor countries and developing countries who feel the system could have done much. So I think let's admit that. So this disruption, you asked, how do I feel about it? I feel uneasy about it. I feel concerned about it. I do not think it's completely going to go away. I think we have to live with uncertainty for a period of time. And I think that business should get used to the idea that we are going to have to live with uncertainty for a period of time. Having said that, I'm cautiously optimistic about the entire system. And do you know why? Because in spite of this heavy disruption, WTO members have behaved in a very good fashion. They've avoided a tit-for-tat war with the US. The US and China have de-escalated. Other members have not done tit-for-tat, as was the case in the 1930s. And the global trading system is still largely working on global rules because WTO members are still mostly trading with themselves outside of the US unilateral actions on WTO terms. So we have 72% of world trade that is going on WTO MFN terms. So that gives me some optimism. Second point of optimism, is that there are many emerging new opportunities in the disruption. I see opportunities in this crisis. What are those? I think there are countries that are waking up and realizing we have been over-dependent on some other countries. Over-dependent on the US for markets, over-dependent on China for critical supplies. We need to diversify. There are businesses waking up and realizing they have to diversify value chains. And India is a big beneficiary of that. That's an opportunity. So there are also opportunities in green trade, in digital trade that are emerging. So let's not just look at the downside. There are also some upsides.
Great that you say that there are more upsides than downsides, and that's what...
Well, I said there are some upsides.
Yes, some
I don't
upsides.
know, right now I'm weighing the two. I don't know which one is better, up or down, but there are some upsides to look
Absolutely, there are upsides, and that's what we will have to leverage on. Madam Excellency, are there some key messages that you think that you would like to give? In two sections, I'll put it. Let me first come to the businesses of the world. Let's come to businesses. What are your three key messages in a world where we can all succeed and really elevate people who are in every sections of the society? What is the contribution of that you see from the business while this certain policy ecosystems keep getting disrupted?
Well, the first message to business is that please see the opportunity in the crisis. This is an opportunity for you to diversify. You're starting to do it already, but don't be afraid. You need to create value chains elsewhere. You need to look for new markets. If you miss this opportunity, I think you're missing something. The second thing is that it is business that trades. I believe in business. I believe in listening to business, big and small. They are the ones who trade. I don't trade. Government officials don't trade. So we must listen to what are the challenges that they're encountering in the trading system. So to business, I say, let us know those challenges now that we are trying to reform or speaking about the reform of the system. Bring them in. I'll give you an example. Two sets of businesses, one, the Keidaren from Japan. The new management of Keidaren, the first visit they did outside of Japan was to the WTO. And they came with a study, with a list of the challenges they see in the trading system. And they said, we hear you're interested in reform. If you want to reform, this is the way big Japanese business sees the problems. The US agricultural groups told us, here are some of the issues we feel you need to work on reform. I'd like to hear from Indian business. What do they think is wrong with the system? So I'm challenging you to do some homework. Let us know so we can put it in and create a system that works better for you.
No, that's fantastic. And I think your openness to discuss with businesses is a very refreshing approach, because for the WTO to be connected directly to business is something that we always look forward to. And I think that's something that you have brought in, and we look forward to taking that further. And I'm glad that you mentioned the example of Japan and Keidaren, with whom we partner very closely. Madam, one of the things that I was tempted, because you talked about it in the morning and today you touched upon, in this very evolving and very strongly in the world of digitization, there are lots of inclusivity opportunities that arises for our countries as well as for our businesses. And I think in this digital sphere, there is a lot again in the rules that WTO can bring in. And how do you look at this? You mentioned technology, and that's going to play a very critical role. And that's the reason, because that can even be very exclusive, excluding in terms of helping prosperity come in. So, but then it could also, I guess, an opportunity. So, how do you take it, and what's your advice on that as far as trade is concerned?
Well, I'm one of those who is very excited about technology, actually. I've always been. It has its downsides, no doubt, but I see technology and the advent of AI, as we've done studies on that at the WTO, and there could be huge positives on the trade side. We see AI, for instance, bringing down trade costs substantially. We even see the nature of products and services traded being changed by the infusion of AI, and how to govern that is quite exciting. But we've done a study that shows that, look, if we're able to adopt AI evenly across the world, it could be a net positive. It could even increase trade, global trade, by 40% by 2040. We call it our 40 by 40. But if we don't adopt it evenly, it's going to create more inequality between developing and developed countries. And that worries us quite a bit. How do we avoid that divide? Now, I think India stands at a unique opportunity because of the skills, the digital infrastructure, public digital it has established. And the examples, it's very innovative that India is a leader here and has the ability to push forward in a way that can also bring in other developing countries in the digital sphere. Now, what can we do at WTO? The basic rules that govern digital trade are not yet there. There are none. And at the WTO, we are negotiating that as a plurilateral agreement with about 91 members. So we have these agreements. I have a little bit of an issue because India has some issues with plurilaterals, but at the WTO, there are two ways to approach rules. Multilateral rules, but some members can also get together to develop, in a coalition of the willing, rules that can govern some of the things that happen in world trade. So that is happening. We also have the e-commerce moratorium, which is a multilateral issue about, do we extend this so there are no taxes on digital transmissions and electronic transmissions. And I hope we can extend this at MC14 so it can create an environment. But can I ask you a question? My question to you is, what are the 2 or 3 things you think the WTO should do? Where can we reform and be more useful to you and all the business people out there? Even one area that you can think of.
Well, that's a fantastic question. The reverse was quite unexpected. But yes, of course, we as India talks about always that we do wish to go by rules-based trading system. How do we see some reforms? And Kedandran has posted to you as to the type of reforms that it looks at seeing. So when we look at rules-based system and as to how that can be enforced, and the enforcement of that rules-based system across the globe, and is something that we would expect from the WTO to come out very strongly, because we do see faltering nations get away, and some of us who are in the emerging category, and some more who are actually even in the developing category, if I may say, they suffer the most. And we would like, as you said, that what we would like to see is that enforcement and the following of much rules-based system by all nations. And how can that's something that we would look forward to WTO doing.
Well, thank you. I think your answer alludes to something that where there is an issue at the WTO, which is the dispute settlement system, the only one of its kind in the world where one member can bring a dispute. And the second tier is like a lower court and an appellate court. The second tier has been hobbled since 2019. But I want to use this opportunity to tell everyone that it doesn't mean the system is not working at all. It is. The lower level, panel level, lower court is working. And members are still bringing cases, if you wish, of problems they have with each other in trade. Since 2019, when the appeals appellate body was hobbled, we've had 50. So it has continued. And now, you know what is happening? There are alternatives that have been developed to the appellate body. So the EU and some other countries have gotten together, other members, to develop what they call the multi-party interim arbitration arrangement, MPIA, which takes the place of the appellate. It has now handled 3 cases successfully. So we do have an alternative, and 58 members have now joined, and we are looking towards 100 by MC14. So we don't have to be, we don't have to, I don't believe in getting stuck. If something doesn't work, come up with a new idea, new creation, and we've done it. Does that mean we abandon the appellate body? No. Still needs to be reformed when the time comes and we can persuade the US. But for now, we use the MPIA.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. And because you talked about the MCN and the MC14, and we are looking forward to March 2026.
Are you coming? Are you coming?
You ask me, I will.
Okay.
Excellency, we see that, what you see as an outcome of the MC14, some of it which you alluded to, but long-standing issues of food security. You mentioned about the PSA, permanent solution to PSH after so many years. The significant demand of India, as you know, has been various stakeholders and resource poor, small, marginal farmers. So what's your expectations again from the countries at the MC14?
Well, I hope, when I've talked to a lot of leaders now, I mean, at the president and prime minister level, ministers, ambassadors in Geneva, and there's an emerging view that MC14 should try to deal with those issues in the WTO that don't work. Meaning not that ministers will come there to solve the issue, but at least to identify and agree on a set of issues and then choose the modalities to solve the problem. I'm coming back to India's criticism. It is what they call a past mandate. India is concerned because PSH, an interim solution was given to India, and then there was, in the papers which I've read carefully, it was agreed that a permanent solution would be negotiated, and that has gotten stuck because there are many members who have, views about the PSH program, and it's become so polarized in a way, trying to even introduce objective information to help them make decisions is difficult. But there's the issue of the past mandate, and India has a good point there. What do you do about past mandates? I think India should put it as part of what it's requesting to be looked at in the reform. Separate it a little bit from the ongoing negotiations. Those should continue. But put the issue of past mandates. Why shouldn't ministers look at, these are the things we agreed. Why haven't we done them? It's a reform issue. And I hope it will be one of those that will be put forward. I'm not a member, I'm only the DG. But I think this is a good case in point.
No, thank you. Another area, just to change subject, is today we from the Indian business, the Indian government, many other countries are concerned, and rightly so, on climate and green. But we see sometimes tools being adopted or which are more we see for protection, and we view and more as trade barriers. So while we support green transition, definitely we are keen to see that, but we have our aspirations as a developing and there's an emerging strong economy. The others also have their own aspirations. But how can we look at certain measures that we see which are more like trade barriers? I'm of course referring to areas like CBAM. I don't need to couch my, but how do you see that being sort of navigated through?
Well, I think this is an excellent area to talk about, and I'm very sympathetic to business. Do you know that there are now over 100, I think there are 113 carbon pricing schemes in the world, and business is supposed to navigate that from one country to the other, different emission standards. How do you navigate all of this for your products and for your trade? So I'm sympathetic. But like I said in Belém last week, there are two communities that don't come together in a way that I think would help us solve the problem: the trade and the environment. They are like two separate communities moving in parallel and suspicious of each other. I think we need more of a dialogue so that the environment people can understand the way the trade people see some of the measures they put in place, and the trade people understand why the environment. The WTO Secretariat has been working hard to see if we can help bridge that kind of gap. So climate is an existential threat. In my village, farmers don't know the word climate change. They don't know what it means. But what they say to me is, my daughter, you know, for an older farmer, or my wife in my husband's village, they say the rain has been coming too much. It has been, our crops are dying in the field. We've never seen this in our lifetime. Something has changed. We don't know when to harvest. We don't know when to plant. So climate change is real. So we have to do something about it. But we must not do it in such a way that these measures are seen as protectionist when they are not meant to be, or unmanageable, where systems are not interoperable and business has to deal with so many. So I agree with you. What's the solution? At the WTO, we are actually good at trying to help with standards, at interoperability of systems, and we think that the best approach is a global carbon pricing approach against which each country can measure its own approach. You know, like we have a methodology for customs valuation. We need a methodology globally accepted. And then that will stop all the problems and accusations. If you do something, it can be measured against the global standard.
Madam, you're the first lady Director General of the WTO, right? And 50% of our population in the world needs to come up at par. There has to be parity. And when you talk about trade and parity with relates to that, how do you see, and I ask this question because you also talked about Africa, and it's so important to us to see the development, and we see trade and trade rules play a very, very critical, can be a very important way of including not just economies, but including 50% of our population in the mainstream and helping that out. We see many ways that have not been taken into account by many, many countries, which has led to deprivation. As the first lady president, Director General, I wanted to seek your views. I know it's not connected to the fireside chat that we are having on WTO, but I always feel very strongly when we look at the 50% of the population of our world not perhaps being at par.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm an economist by training, so I look at numbers.
Yes.
And so for me, if you look at many SMEs, they're driven by women. We've also done many studies that show that women SMEs who trade externally, they make 3 times as much income as those who trade internally. So trade works. So if you want, and they contribute substantially, not only to the trading system, but to the national and global economy. If you want to exclude a strong contributor to your GDP, that's not a good thing. So I'm coming at it purely from an economist point of view. Women are very hardworking, creative. They are running businesses that work and employ other women. So they should be included. So the issue is, how do we empower them? If you go through all the things, you find a whole plethora of issues, which SMEs also, male-led SME, but women encounter them more: access to finance issues, market access, knowledge, and so on. And so at the WTO, we have been working very hard trying to target those issues. We have a branch called International Trade Center, which is 50% owned by WTO and 50% by the United Nations. And they focus on helping SMEs. So we are trying to do, and female-headed SMEs, we are trying to do our best through that instrument all over the world. They have a program called She Trades that tries to empower women with the knowledge. Secondly, we just started a fund. It's called the the Women's Fund for Digital Trade. It's to empower women who are trading digitally, because we now found many of them are doing that. We're raising $50 million. We've already made calls for proposals, and we're trying to get the money out there to support them. So, and rules. We also now have starting to see the issue of assisting women, not because they are women. I want to insist on that. I'm looking at it very hard-nosed. It is because they are net contributors to business, to the economy. How do we make sure they are not left behind and that they don't lose opportunities? Which rules should be looked at to make sure they're included? That's also beginning to happen. Not everyone agrees with that, by the way. Again, I hasten to say some of our members, and sometimes India can be included, think that maybe those issues should be handled nationally. I don't debate that. You can handle them nationally, but I also think multilaterally, whatever we can do, we try to do it.
Thank you for that message, because it leads me to really talk about another area of work, and I'm changing a little bit of subject once again. You touched upon SMEs. And the small and the mid-sized companies today, especially the small and the smaller enterprises, the micro enterprises, in countries like ours, feel threatened by the way sometimes we see countries and the ecosystems develop. Your reach out and you mentioned about SMEs, so your reach out and connecting with the SMEs by the WTO is extremely, extremely critical and important, is the way we feel. And I know that you have personally taken a lot of interest on the SMEs in the small and mid-sized companies of the world. What's your message, and how are you connecting to the MSMEs, the micro, small and medium enterprises, through the WTO?
Well, MSMEs in almost every country, even in the developed world, create 90% of the employment, sometimes in an economy, and produce a lot of the value. In value chains, MSMEs are very important. So this is a sector that I'm actually very passionate about. And I believe we also need to pay particular attention to their problems. The WTO has a working group on MSMEs, where members actively consider the problems of MSMEs and what to do about it. And so that group is led by the ambassador to Barbados, Ambassador Matthew Wilson, and is very well attended, and they are very constantly looking at ways and means. In addition to all of that, like I said, I've taken an interest. I have an advisory group of business leaders, a business advisory group, and we've made sure that it's not just big businesses that are members, but also we have some MSMEs, including one from India, who are members of the group. So we can listen directly to what are their problems, how do they see the rules that we're making, and what advice can they give us?
Right. Madam, one area which got touched upon in the morning session was about free trade agreements, and I heard your speech also very, very carefully. I wanted to hear once again from you, is there any alternative but to go ahead with it, with many free trade agreements when there is so much of uncertainty? I know it's you have labored on this point very strongly, but you also heard our Honorable Minister speak about but what is the alternative but to see how do we club together a few countries and see to it that we are safe when we are getting attacked from all over?
Well, we welcome free trade agreements at the WTO. First, let me commend Minister Piyush Goyal. He's trying to do a free trade agreement, a full-fledged one with the US, which would be WTO compliant. We encourage full-fledged free trade agreements that cover substantially all trade, and that's what he's trying to do, more than we do framework agreements, which are not very compliant. So congratulations on his trying to push for that. But I just want people to understand that we don't have a problem with free trade agreements. Why is that? If you look at we have a whole unit. The only work they do is look at all the agreements that are made in the world. Because as soon as you make it, you have to report it to the WTO. Most of them are built on a WTO platform. So even though it is between two members or two groups, the rules are very much WTO based. So we do not see them as a threat. And actually, we are okay with them because we think members need to diversify their trade. So we welcome this diversification by members seeking new markets. We welcome the regional agreements. They are WTO compliant or supportive, most of them, so they are not a problem. I know people get surprised because they say, aren't you threatened by all these agreements? And no, they should go ahead. They help the members to diversify their trade. I don't see them as a threat. I welcome them.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you for that comment. We have a few minutes and we are running a little over time, but I'll open it up for some questions from our businessmen in this group. And can I turn to anyone that I could see? Dilip trying to, please, a mic for Mr. Dilip Soni of Rockwell.
Thank you so much, CB, for giving me this opportunity. Dr. Avela, thank you so much for those insight and comments that you shared right here. Yeah. Thank you. I come from a technology company, Rockwell Automation. We are hugely invested into the future of advanced manufacturing. And a trend that we see, which we see as a strength for India as well, is servification of manufacturing, where services and products begin to blend. And I wanted to just understand your point of view from where you sit on how the policy framework might evolve to support that.
How a policy framework to support certification?
No, servification, so services and products.
Servicification.
Yeah.
How can one support servicification of products?
Oh, servicification of products.
So new services coming into manufacturing. So how do you...
services coming into manufacturing. Well, this is a very interesting question because we are seeing that manufacturing is more and more services embedded in manufacturing. So when we talk of services separately and manufacture, actually it's much more complex than that and much more exciting in a way. And then I talked about AI getting more and more embedded in products and changing the nature of the products. That's what you're referring to.
That's right.
Yeah. I see that. I see a big future in that, honestly. And I think the only aspect, I went to talk to the ISO the other day, and we were talking of this subject. What we are getting asked about standards. You know, how do we take I like the way you put servicification of products. I hadn't heard that term before. You know, so the issue is, what does this mean for standards? And we don't have the answer yet. We don't have the answer, but we're beginning to plumb that question because it's going to come. And because I think it's a trend for the future, we have to work fast. So there are several organizations thinking about this and how to deal with it. But I think it's a good thing, it's an exciting thing, and I don't think we can stop it.
Thanks for those insights. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. I'll come to you, and before that I'll come to Ravichandran of Danfoss.
Thank you, Director General. That was very inspiring to listen to you. My question is, the world is more moving to data flow than trade flow. And currently, if you look at the global south, they are not being, on a level playing field with the developed economies when it comes to data regime and data interoperability, and there are no trust-based rules to share data. What is WTO doing about it?
I think, well, people have said that data flows are the new oil or the new gold, I don't know which. And you're absolutely right that many developing countries are worried about their data being captured and used without their benefiting from it, or even losing the privacy. And we don't have our own rules sometimes to govern this. So at the WTO, this is one of the issues we are looking at. In the e-commerce agreement that was being negotiated, data flows was a big issue. It has not been resolved. As you can imagine, there are differing views as to how rules should be made to govern data flows. There are some who believe in a more liberal approach, and there are others who believe in, well, I need to have something to reassure me. So it is going to be handled in the first phase has just dealt with very, I think, basic things like e-signatures, spam, things like that, to get basic rules across on how to deal. The next is data flows. So this is going to be the very difficult, but we are working on it, and it's in the next negotiations. I think it's going to be very tough.
That's a very, very important thought, Madam, and I think that's something that we would like to engage deeper into, because data is going to be a very, very critical issue. You talked about data being gold, and person who relates a lot to gold in certain ways is Thomas Muthoot in India. Yes, Thomas, carry on.
Thank you, CB. Your Excellency, it was a good interaction. My question, I come from a financial services sector. I would like to know a lot of things are happening in the Gen AI and AI, and this is going to affect or accelerate financial services. So in a country like India, emerging economy, how do you think WTO can make the financial system safer in an emerging economy?
Well, first of all, India is stripping ahead in this area, and I think is doing extremely well. The WTO cannot make rules on everything. And I'm not sure that on financial systems and the role of AI, that we are the competent authorities to deal with that. So maybe some of the central bankers and the finance ministers and the central authorities are better equipped and they are looking at the role of AI. But beyond that, things like stable coins in the financial system and how this is going to change that, how AI is changing that whole system. The finance ministers of the world with the central bank governors are looking at those. And I think they are more competent than... We will look at it from the point of view of how does it affect trade. But I think with respect to regulatory issues in that regard, I'd rather leave it to them. I'm not trying to avoid your question. I don't think the WTO should try to do everything. We should leave some things where we don't have as much competence to others, and then maybe try to partner with them once they've got a handle on the issue.
Thank you. Thank you. There's someone who raised a hand here. Last question. Sorry? Yes, the last guy. Yeah.
Madam Excellency, this is Sanjay Kombera. I'm CEO at Axel One, a deep climate tech, climate engineering company. What's your perspective? I mean, you've talked about the ESG regulations around the world. I have actually two questions. One, do you think the world would have a one standard framework on environmental, social, and governance aspects? Because right now we have CSRD, we have different frameworks around the world. That's first question. Second one is, we have talked about green economy, and we have talked about hydrogen powered, because hydrogen is actually, based upon a lot of stats, hydrogen is a failure. So do you think the countries should invest more on climate engineering, really understand, bring AI to understand your weather patterns, your climate models? You have talked about lots of floods around different parts of the world. Sometimes it rains, sometimes it doesn't rain. There's a lot of unpredictability for farmers. So do you think countries should spend more money on, when I say the green economy money, on the climate engineering side, rather than just spending money on hydrogen power and solar powered initiatives?
I got this last question. I'll come back to, I didn't get the first. So let me answer the last one first. I think I think businesses are deciding. And in spite of all the talk against climate change and dialing down on those investments, I think many businesses have decided that the cat has left the barn, or whatever you want to call it. And they are continuing to make investments in renewables, in green hydrogen, in solar. I don't think it's either or. I think these investments need to go in parallel, okay? That's what I think. You should make investments in understanding what impact climate-related changes are going to have on the real sector. I think it's very, very worthwhile, because sometimes we are talking about lives being lost. But we should also make investments on adaptation issues, on mitigation, how to mitigate, understanding it, but also how to adapt, because it's happening. I think it's not either or. The two should go hand in hand. We have focused a lot more on mitigation in the past. And now people are saying, hey, we need to change gears and also invest in adaptation. And I think that is the case. By the way, can I just give you one statistic? We have up to $2 trillion of very bad subsidies that are wrongly subsidizing the wrong things in the world, in both developed and developing countries. There are some kinds of fossil fuel subsidies up to 1.2 trillion that are not really necessary. There are subsidies on agriculture, some of them necessary, some not. Some are trade distorting. There are subsidies on fisheries that the WTO has just removed or prohibited, 22 billion. If we even repurposed 1/3, I'm not asking for all, because removing subsidies is politically very difficult, just a portion to work on adaptation and mitigation, it would really be very good for the world. I'm not asking for extra fiscal resources. Let's just change the nature of the badly used resources we have in the world, and that could help with these investments. And the first part of the question,
the first one was,
if you kindly excuse, because I know the entire team of the Director General will come onto the stage, because she has a ministerial meeting immediately after that. And therefore, I could even thank you for 10 minutes, but I'll only be saying thank you, thank you, thank you for being with us, for spending time and connecting with Indian business and the world business so directly. We appreciate this. We would wish to continue this. Thank you, Excellency. Thank you, Madam, for a brilliant session, and also the morning session before that. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in thanking the Honorable Director General.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for sharing those extremely valuable perspectives with us. Thank you, Mr. Banerjee, for initiating that conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here with us. We have our next session, which is part of this plenary hall. It is at 5:45. We'll request you to please join us back for that session. Namaskar and a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to the 30th edition of the CII Partnership Summit. May I please request everyone in the audience to kindly settle down. Please take your respective seats, and also a very gentle reminder to all of you to kindly switch off your mobile phones or put it on the silent mode during the entire proceedings of the inaugural function. As you're aware, we have some very esteemed dignitaries joining us for the inaugural session. The Honorable Vice President of India will be joining us for the inaugural session. I request everyone to kindly take their respective seats, settle down as quickly as possible. Please maintain silence. And once again, a gentle reminder to kindly switch off your mobile phones or put it on the silent mode during the entire proceedings of the inaugural function. Thank you. Delegates in the front to kindly take your respective seats. We've been informed by the security of the Honorable Vice President to kindly keep the front area clear. As you're aware that our highly esteemed dignitaries are going to be joining us shortly, and we would like to request everybody to please take their seats, especially our dignitaries and delegates in the front. Please take your respective seats. We've been informed by the Honorable Vice President Security to keep the hall clear. Please take your respective seats and settle down as quickly as possible. Thank you.
We request all the delegates to kindly take their seats. We request all the delegates to kindly take their seats.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, may I please request you to kindly take your respective seats, especially may I request our delegates in the front row to not block it and not stand. Please take your respective seats, ladies and gentlemen. We are being strictly guided by Honorable Vice President Security to please take your seats. May I request distinguished delegates on to my right to please take your seats and kindly settle down. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, may I please request people on the sideways, especially onto my left and also onto my right, especially at the entry and exit ways, to kindly not crowd that area, and please take your respective seats. May I request people onto my left and onto my right, especially at the entry and exit doorways, to kindly not crowd it and take your respective seats. People at the back also, may I kindly request you to please take your respective seats. We will be beginning the inaugural session very shortly, and it's very important that we maintain silence and settle down as quickly as possible in our respective seats. Once again, a gentle reminder to all of you to kindly switch off your mobile phones or put it on the silent mode during the entire proceedings of the inaugural session. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now just minutes away from the arrival of the Honorable Vice President of India onto the dais for the inaugural session of the 30th edition of the CII Partnership Summit 2025. So once again, I humbly request everyone, those who are not yet seated, to kindly be seated and take your respective seats. Especially people onto my left and onto my right, I can see many people at the entry and exit doorways. I'll request them to kindly not crowd the entry and exit doorways and take your respective seats and settle down as quickly as possible. Thank you.